In manufacturing leadership, could you be having some problems around like why you can't get your team to do what you want to do? Or it may not be your team, maybe your boss or just people that you work with. But in general, it can also feel like I'm been clear, but others aren't clear on what I'm expecting. And then it just doesn't get done. And we think that maybe it's a lack of effort. We think that it could be the attitude or just not real accountability. But in reality, it's how we work together. And surface level communication doesn't get results. And that's where it's costing us in productivity and retention and in safety. And you think you're clear, but they think something different. And a lot of us will just jump to conclusions. We'll skip the understanding. And what we have here today, and I'm Trevor Blondeel, I'm your host here, and we're doing these solo episodes now. And what we're finding is this model, I've been in this business for almost 35 years, and I've really learned that it comes down to three conversations. This is the manufacturing greatness model. I have seen that this can solve your problems in the next less than 10 minutes. I'm just going to go through that model, and at the end of this conversation, you're going to have something you can take away right now. So we call it the manufacturing greatness model, but it comes down to having three conversations around three gaps, which is the showing up gap. This is the space of our intentions versus other people's perceptions. Then we have the expectation gap, which is a space between what we believe is expected and what we think others expect of us. That one's really important. And then the third one's accountability gap. What's the consequence if we don't deliver on what we said we're going to do? And they all go together to get the desired results that you're looking for. And so it's the same solution. If you ever seen My Big Fat Greek Wedding, the grandfather thought he could fix anything with Windex. If you had a sore on your arm, he'd just spray it on you. This is what I found in manufacturing, transportation, logistics, construction, energy, a lot of these fields, is that we can solve almost all problems with these conversations. So the first one is showing up gap. So our intentions aren't that important as other people's perceptions are. And this is this whole concept. That's why I have it on the chalkboard behind me, is because it usually is the start of any conversation. If we have a gap in what we want and what's actually happening, it usually ties into some gap between what people are perceiving versus what we're intending. And I have great stories around this. We won't dive into this today. We're going to do some separate episodes and dive deeper into stories. But basically, you figure out that, hey, I'm expecting the board to look this way. I've given clear direction. I come out and this board looks totally different. So we got to come at that with curiosity. First of, like, how did I explain that? How did I show up? Did I show up as supportive? Did I show up just as, hey, don't ask me questions, just deliver this? And please, any other details that you have, read what's on my mind. Okay, so how did you show up? How did you make that person feel? Because how we make people feel determines the extent how we make people feel determines on how they can engage with us. So if we make people feel we don't want to talk to them and that we're just dismissive, then they're going to be less engaged in that topic. So that's the first one. And then after that, then we talk about, hey, what does a good board look like? So what's expected? So I'm explaining maybe something that needs to get done, but are we going a level deeper? So what does that board look like to you when we're having that conversation? What does a good board look like when it's done? How would we use that board out on the shop floor? And we go back and forth. And that's the expectation gap. And again, so it's the same aspect of, you can ask in the first gap, how am I showing up for you? So this can be manufacturing leadership, production leadership. This is between the office and the shop floor. This is between you and your boss, all different areas within manufacturing and our adjacent industries. That affects our team engagement, our employee retention, and our plant leadership in general. It sets it all together. And so these aren't simple communication skills. These are actually behaviors which we want to root in our daily practices, right? Because the only way to make time is to spend time on a conversation today that's going to save you time tomorrow. And when we're clear and we're showing up, when we're clear in the expectations, Then we can dive into that accountability. And that can be right to the frontline supervisor, to just the whole aspect of workforce development gets easier when we're clear and we're connected. And yes, we use some of the emotional intelligence aspects through this, but really we're talking about a manufacturing culture which is driven by our behaviors. And if we want to have continuous improvement and ideas from the shop floor, which are the best ones, we're going to need these additional conversations. And if you're thinking, Trevor, you're just having conversations, but you're not getting anything done, hold on a minute. That's the third gap. And I believe in our model that accountability builds trust because it's transparent. So we've already known how we're impacting each other and how we're showing up. Now we have clear expectations. Now I can ask you, hey, what does done look like? And when would that be? Let's talk about what's that commitment date. It's okay. So what would get in the way of you not getting that done? And what are the consequences if you don't get that done? And we'll just even talk about that up front. This is the whole model. And we're talking about connecting the top to the shop. And we're going to dive into these solo episodes into each gap individually. The book is coming out May 11th, 2027. So this is a lot of if you're a regular listener or you're just popping in today, you're going to get a lot of this information before it comes out. We just met on the research study that we're doing across North America on what's the state of manufacturing and figuring out why people do not want to work in manufacturing, or why do they? And we'll get greater insights into that so we can fill those spots and just have a great culture here. So yeah, let's keep up to date on all that. The book is Manufacturing Greatness: Build Teams That Work Together, Get Results, and Stick Around. That's why this model solves those problems. And lastly, hey, there's information I can't share through a podcast or through a YouTube. If you go to manufacturinggreatness.com/subscribe, or the link there, you're going to get the latest information right in your inbox. It's free. And then also, based on this model, I've got 10 questions that will drive these deeper conversations. You can start using them right now. So get that free download, get subscribed there. Let's get this rolling, and we'll see you next week.